Okay, I have 6:30. I will call this public hearing to order. Please all join me in the pledge of the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Proceed to the hearing is we'll read in the call the public hearing. We'll have a short presentation and then we'll open up the floor for public comments. This point, Roxanne, would you call the notice?
Ledger Town Council will conduct a hybrid public hearing in person and video conference on Wednesday, April 13th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. to receive comments and recommendations regarding proposed amendments to ordinance number 300-008, an ordinance establishing planning and zoning fees for subdivisions, new construction, alteration, change of use, and zoning permit applications in the town of Ledger. This public hearing will be in a hybrid format. Please join the public hearing in person or remotely from your computer, tablet, or smartphone. In-person attendance is at the council chambers, Town Hall Annex Building, 741 Colonel Ledger Highway, Ledger, Connecticut, and the remote attendance via Zoom link is on the portal. At this hearing, interested persons may appear and be heard, and written communications will be accepted at towncouncil@ledgerct.org, dated at Ledger, Connecticut, this 31st day of March 2022. For the Ledger Town Council, Kevin J. Dombrowski, Chairman. Published in the New London Day on April 4, 2022.
Thank you. At this point, I'll ask Mr. Paul, our Council Paul, to provide a presentation.
Right, so this is to change some language in the ordinance, of 300-008, where we're amending this ordinance to show, instead of the zoning official, now that we have a full-time planning director, that we're replacing her planning director's name into that, and cleaning up some of the language, now that we do have a planning director, and that this should be falling under the planning director for this, and that's basically what it is to clean up some of the redundant language in it, especially now that this was at a time when the planning and the zoning were separate, and they're combined. So again, this kind of cleans the language up in the ordinance and puts in the proper people to refer to.
Any comments? Questions? All right. At this point, I will open the floor to public comments. We do have some written correspondence from Mr. Treaster and also from Director of Planning, Juliet Hodge, as well. So at this point, if anybody would like to address the council.
Anybody online want to go first?
I don't see anybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody
Mr.
else
Terry.
will. I think my comments are mostly directed to the written comments submitted by Mr. Treaster. A couple of things. I got the feeling with his examples that he never really did a review to approve a zoning permit or a subdivision, and he severely underestimates the efforts required. And the fees we charge are over and above what it would cost us to have the office manned. A couple of simple things. There is no fee for a 7-foot high fence because fences are not regulated by zoning. And he was looking for the ZBA fees. The ZBA fees are part of ordinance 300-11, I believe, updated in October of 2020, and the fee schedule was updated in January of 2022. And I think what's interesting is Mr. Treaster is a member of the ZBA and probably should have been aware of that. I think our Director of Land Use did an admirable job working with admin to update the ordinance, and I urge passage.
Thank you. Anybody else on Zoom like to make comment? Seeing none, Mr. Treaster.
Been a long time since I've been behind this.
Us too.
Feels good, feels good. Amazingly, I agree with Mike on most of what he said. I'm assuming that everyone has read my submittal for the public hearing. And the first thing we need to do is to turn to the last page, item number 12. Actually, it's technically, it's number 6-12. About 4 or 5 inches above the bottom of the last page. And I made the statement, why do by right applications that require commission review, no public hearing, no advertising, require $200 application fee, but the fee for a by right application does not require commission to review, only a $25 fee. I was totally in error and mistaken on that comment. And I apologize for that mistake. I don't like making mistakes, but this one I really screwed up. For some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, I did not remember, or I did not know, or something, that any decision on an application that is made by the Planning and Zoning Commission has to be noticed. And the notices in the newspaper are expensive, which justifies that number. So I screwed up. I apologize to the council. I apologize to Juliet. Juliet caught it, and she gently let me know that I was mistaken, which I appreciate. But I do apologize for that mistake. Okay, back on the first page, it's really a question of policy, and the question is that who has the ultimate authority to set the fees, not to recommend them, but to set them. I have no problems with Juliet or the Planning and Zoning Commission suggesting fees, but I've got mixed feelings about either of those two entities having the ultimate authority to set those fees. So there may be some times when the fee should be waived, perhaps for EDC, perhaps for legal reasons, there could be dozens of reasons. And in my opinion, the council should be the entity that has the authority to waive fees, not the town planner, not the Planning and Zoning Commission. So that's one issue that is woven through my arguments. There's a couple of places where the term zoning official was used when it should be planning official or planning or the town planner. Juliet caught that in her memo, so make sure that if you adopt this, that you look at her comments carefully, and wherever she identifies the fact that it says zoning official, it should often be the town planner to replace those words. The phrase that is used in the ordinance is the fees are to defray costs or to help defray costs. This is a philosophical type of argument. What is a cost? I have no problems with an applicant paying for the legal notices of decisions. Those are marginal costs, but the fixed costs, I have mixed feelings about charging a lot of money for a fixed cost. But let's say that no subdivision application came in for a year. The town's not going to lay anybody off. They're not going to not pay anyone. So charging $5,000 for a subdivision application for 100 unit, for 100 site subdivision, it doesn't defray any costs. It just adds to the revenue. So anyhow, that's my concern. The statute allows the town to charge fees to defray costs. We should be able to identify what those costs are. So I don't think we can do that. The marginal cost, not a problem. the actual costs are, that there, you know, paper, ink, legal notices, maybe. Legal notices are increased, have no problems with that. If it's not to defray cost literally, then the ordinance should state what the policy is for establishing the fees. Okay. One position would be to make all fees that do not require, all fees that are by right that are approved by the zoning official will be $25 until all applications for site plan approvals, because they have to be noticed in the paper. The current fee is $200. I think that's a little high. Get a legal notice in the paper for about $100, $110.
Mr. Treaster, if I just may make a point real quick.
Yeah.
The fees
I
are not on part of the discussion tonight.
understand.
It's just the ordinance.
Right, I understand. Okay, on the next page, number 5 on the top, that's technically it's number 5. The second paragraph of section 4 provides that the town can establish a schedule of fees for third-party project reviews. And on the last page, there is a separate paragraph stating the Planning and Zoning Commission reserves the right to apply additional project review fees such as professional, legal, engineering, etc., in addition to administrative fees. These fees shall be assessed by the Planning and Zoning Commission and paid by the applicant on an actual and reasonable cost basis after the services are rendered. The problem with that paragraph, there's nothing policy-wise that's wrong with it, but the problem is that it does not mirror the new requirement in Public Act 2129. And if you come down to the larger paragraph that's in italics, third paragraph from the bottom, those words will mirror the new statute. And the significant difference is that the statute requires that any overpayment be refunded within 45 days. The town council sometimes is a little slow in refunding fees. The PA 2129 eliminates that delay. So I would recommend that you replace that paragraph in the ordinance with the words that are in the italics. The other concern is that the current wording of that imposing of fees says that it can be towards legal fees. But the PA 2129 says that it's only valid for technical reviews. And in my mind, it's not clear if a legal review constitutes a technical review. And as such, there may be a question if the Planning and Zoning Commission can charge an applicant for a legal review of an application. Right off the top, I would say the answer is no, and I would recommend removing the term legal review out of the list and going with the words that are in the enabling statute, which is word for word. I have it in quote marks in that paragraph. Concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens who would like to make comment?
I would.
Go ahead.
I may.
Juliet. Thank you.
Did you say okay?
Go ahead, Juliet.
Okay, warning, my internet is spotty. I'm in Voluntown. So I would hope that the town council would trust their professional staff who's been at this job in general for over 15 years. Fees are determined sort of looking at other towns and figuring out what's reasonable. There is absolutely no way to figure out actual costs for application reviews. You could have the same type of application, and one application would take you 5 minutes and the next one would take you 8 hours. I mean, there's just no way to do it. So fees need to be applied uniformly. So, I mean, you can't have another party decide whether or not to waive fees in somebody else's department that way when there's legal ramifications for, to put it simply, playing favorites. for lack of a better term. It has to be the same for everybody. There's certain circumstances where we outline when a fee can be waived, and that's it. And that's too dangerous of a slope to go down, especially the way Eric presented it as, you know, a town council being able to waive something for a good cause. Wow, don't do that. That would land you in a lawsuit. So I just urge you to just accept the changes the way they were presented. I did in my memo point out there was one zoning official term I missed, should be changed. And a closer look at paragraph 2. It's not necessary. It was redundant in there because there was a planning commission and a zoning commission, and it should just come out. It doesn't need to be there. So we spent a lot of time, I think my predecessor and I think Mike Cherry spent a lot of time looking at fees in the past, and they came up with fees that they thought were appropriate, and a process that they thought was appropriate. And I urge the council to pass the changes as written. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any comments?
Ask if people want to put it in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody else on there, but
It's here. He's here. One thing I will point out is that according with the town charter, the fees are approved by the town, are set by the town council.
That's a conflict with the ordinance.
No, it's not. So none of the boards and commissions and staff set the fees. They recommend the fees. The fees are approved by the town council.
I agree with approved, but not set. If you want to
They're
change
set
it.
by the town council.
It's the process of approving them. Yeah.
Processes are set by the town council when we approve the fee schedule. That's the appendix to the ordinance.
You have the right to change those fees.
Yes, this is semantics. We do have the right to change those fees. And do. And sometimes we set fees that don't necessarily go with what is recommended.
The ordinance is not clear in that regard.
The charter is.
If I could, the last change in fees was to ZBA, and it was under the signature of Kevin Dombrowski, chairperson of the town council, which tells me town council set the fees.
I just was going to point out that the fee schedule is recommended by the board and commission and staff, but is ultimately approved and set by the town council.
What about word for and set in the ordinance?
According with the charter, which is the overarching document. Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Juliet.
Maybe the hour.
Ready?
No, I'm going to.
Actually, I need to kick this meeting out because we got to get
Out
ready for the
there
next
and see
meeting.
if I can log in.
I have some good news regarding short-term outdoor entertainment. Waterford is redoing its reg, which we used originally, so they're doing it
Eric.
for us.
Eric, I need to turn this off.
Sorry about the late submission of that document, folks, and I have to run too, so.